We have another exciting session with Kim. Kim.
Welcome, everybody. Lovely to see you all here again. And I hope we're ready for our second session of the history of the world. Tonight's going to be a bit of a humdinger, really. So I just want to start off by saying that I'm going to go through a couple of things first, and then we're going to get into the further creation of man tonight. So, as I said last time, this information can be confronting. It really can. Our programming runs so deep. We've been finding out that almost everything that we have been told is a lie. There are going to be quite a few that is challenged by tonight's session. You can believe it, you cannot believe it, but the thing is that this knowledge is what you hear, so it will be there on some level. When the truth finally starts to come out publicly, the beauty of this is then it won't be such a shock for you. We're all at different levels of development. We all have to go along our own journey. We all integrate knowledge at different times and in different ways. So it's your process, and you really need to go within and just make sure, have a look at what resonates with you, with where you're at. One of the really important things that I need to say about tonight's session is that I'm not here to change your mind, and nor am I here to change your faith. There are some things in tonight's session that are really going to come as a shock to some of you. It's invariable as we go along this journey that will happen. Know that God is personal to each of you. Creator, spirit, God, whatever you would like to call the all that is energy, is something that is very personal to you. And what you do find is that sometimes that actually changes over time, and that's okay. It's all relevant for where you are. It's just really knowing that you come in with an open mind, that you allow the possibilities of what we are learning to just sink in, think about them, put them into context, process it whatever way you need to process it. If you need to talk things through, then talk things through with friends, with family, with those who have already been on a journey, because that's what this is all about. This whole journey we are on is all about us. The awakening is all about you individually, which then goes into the collective. So know that this is information sharing. This is a process of awakening. This is a process of realization of everything that we have taught, particularly from the religion point of view, is not necessarily the way that it's being portrayed. It differs from what we've been told. So in saying all of that, I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, everyone got that there? Yep, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so just to do a little bit of a recap from the last session, we went through the civilizations that inhabited Earth prior to the creation of humans. We saw how the manipulation of the DNA by the 24 Cedar races was carried out at different points in history, which gave us the genetic makeup of 12 different civilizations. It means that we are quite unique in our universe, in fact. We had a look at the role of the Cedars over the many generations. And actually, there is a reference in the Bible to the Cedars, which is in Revelations 4:4, under the throne room of heaven. And that actually says, around the throne were 24 thrones. And on the thrones, I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white robes, and they had crowns of gold on their heads. So even the Bible actually references the 24 Cedar civilizations, not just the Bible, but also ancient texts and many other different texts that have been written over the years. So some clarification. So the humans of today are highly sought after. We're highly sought after throughout the universe because of the genetic makeup, because of the particular blend of our DNA. So we have the 11 intergalactic species, the one human species, and over a period of time, we've been upgraded to 22 with different civilizations that have come onto Earth. Now, not everybody has the 22 strands of DNA. Some have 7, some have 8, some have 12. It really just depends on your evolution, what bloodline really that you come from. So even though there is 22, not all of us have that, but it doesn't matter. Now, whilst the body can be upgraded and developed over a period of time, the consciousness of a species cannot. So even though we hold these 22, 12, or however many strands of DNA, we actually still have to go through our evolutionary process individually. There was a comment last time about the med beds and the med beds that contain the original 12 strands called the Adamic DNA. So again, even if you went through that process, when that becomes available of upgrading your DNA strands or reinstating the DNA strands to 12, it doesn't automatically mean that all of a sudden you're going to become this enlightened being. You're not. You still have to go through your own process, your own journey, your own integration of knowledge, so that those DNA strands actually open up as you journey through your consciousness elevation. So the original souls that incarnated onto Earth belong to this planetary matrix. And the planetary matrix and the energy of us individually are very much intertwined. What we do affects the Earth, and what happens to the Earth affects us. So the consciousness progression is very much intertwined between this planet and us on an etheric level, on a level that we can't see. It's on that energy level. The vibrational frequency of the etheric body, though, can also be upgraded. So what am I talking about here? So just to break it down very simply, we have our physical body. It's what we appear as to everybody else. We have an etheric body. We have an astral body. We have our auric body. We have a mental body, a causal body. So we have many different layers of energy, if you like, that make us up as a being. So those energy bodies, some, particularly the etheric, can be upgraded, and even the physical human DNA, as we have already talked about. When those etheric bodies get upgraded, it means that you can, it allows a higher consciousness to incarnate into that body. So what do I mean by that? Many of us have heard of the star seeds, civilizations that have come to help Earth move through this particular period of time. They can't just come into a normal human body which is at a lower level of vibration, I guess. You could say it that way. Those bodies or that DNA makeup actually needs to be at a higher level to accept a being from a higher density. As you can imagine, we live in a 3D world. It is very, very dense. Coming into this from a higher level of consciousness is quite a difficult thing to tackle. So we're going to start now on our next part of the journey. So just imagine this. You're an early evolved humanoid, happily going about your business, evolving along the journey that you were exactly meant to be. All of a sudden, you've got some great ships that appear in the sky. Never have you seen anything like this before. Very different looking humans come out of those ships, and you begin to conduct operations that you didn't even know existed. These people had shining skin. They're called the shining ones. Elongated heads and much, much taller. You haven't seen anything like it, and you wonder if they were sent from God. They look like gods. They descended from the sky, and they've got technology which in your eyes could be considered as magic. You're watching from a distance in awe, wonderment, and trepidation, and you have no idea what this means or what this looks like. So in come the Anunnaki. So we're just going to spend a little bit of time going over who they are, their origins, and what that looks like. So the Anunnaki are originally a hybrid race from the Orion star system, made up of the Orion Greys and humans, originally from Sirius B. The origins of their culture was a star system that they named Ima Uru, which means the Great Mother of Light. Anunnaki in their language means human-like, so they appear human-like. And you can see in the picture in here, you've got very much a human-looking face with the elongated head. And I think it's important to say here, if you look at some of the ancient Egyptian depictions, Nefertiti, etc., they all wear the large crown or the large hats up here, which is obviously to cover the head of the elongation of the head. These guys are known to be among the most advanced civilizations in the area of genetic engineering. They're also quite well equipped, very well equipped, and very advanced in warfare. Their current home is the planet Nibiru, as known by those in the Orion system as Nibiru, meaning the master of the light door. Why the master of the light door? In the Orion system lies a double vortex stargate. It's a very prized after location. It's what the Orion Wars were based on. Now, the Orion Wars were actually depicted in the movies in the series Star Wars. I will cover off those wars in another session sometime down the track. Hence the reason I'd like to mention this now. So it's a very prized after location in our star system. So Nibiru, by our scientists here on Earth, has quite often been called Planet X or the Wandering Planet, saying that it roams around our solar system, when in actual fact it's not a planet, it is a spaceship. It's the home of Enki or Ea. And they were known to the early humans as the Shining Ones. So they ingest monatomic gold, which has been created via an alchemic process. Not only does it prolong the life of the ones that take it, but it also gives them the golden shine to their skin. So the Anunnaki at this point in time had control of most of this galaxy. They wanted Earth as well. So Nibiru, the mysterious planet X, I've just repeated that, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what happened there. Right, so they wanted control of Earth as well. Earth was a pretty sought after location. So in the hierarchical process or hierarchical structure of the Anunnaki, I've only listed a couple on here which are relevant to the history that we're going to be talking about. So you have Tiamat, who is the Dragon Queen, reptilian based, known as the Mother of the Gods, killed by Enki's son Marduk during a period which was pre-Adam and Eve. Anu, the father of Enlil and Enki, known as the King of the Gods, Sky God, is the current ruler of the Anunnaki to this day. We have Enki or Ea. He was the Sumerian god of water, knowledge, crafts, and creation. Custodian of the earth, master geneticist, and his mother was of human species. Then you have his brother Enlil or Hu, Sumerian god of the air and storms. He ruled over the earth and its destiny for almost since the beginning of time. he has a reptilian mother. We have Marduk, the son of Enki, a fallen angel. He was the slayer of Tiamat and the controller of Saturn. I just wanted to give you a bit of grounding on who each of these characters are, because they play quite an important role throughout our history up until the present day. So the arrival of the Anunnaki was approximately 372,000 years ago. They arrived and settled in the area of the Arabian Peninsula with the primary purpose at that time of mining gold. Not only is gold, through the alchemic process, made into monatomic gold, but it's also a very valuable resource throughout the universe. It's used in very many different applications. Two brothers were aboard this ship, Enki and Enlil, also their father, Anu. Enki being a master geneticist and Enlil being the head of the war faction. So now we've got scientists and warmongers. That's important. They used originally their own people to mine for gold for a period of time, and then the trouble began. It was hard work, mining for gold. It was long and arduous. After a period of time, several revolts occurred within the Anunnaki workers, ending in them refusing to carry out this mining operation anymore. So the idea was formulated at this point to use the local indigenous population to do the hard labor for them. It wasn't enough, though. Enki wanted them to become a slave race, so that there was no opportunity for them to revolt as their own people had done. So Enlil, the warmonger, ordered that genetic modification should occur or would occur to ensure the humans at this time would remain as a slave. This idea came from Enlil and was ordered to Enki, the master geneticist, to carry out these modifications. So Enki, being the master geneticist, and his team started working with the local indigenous population aboard his ship, the Nibiru. He found, much to his surprise, that the body of these people were a high-tech vehicle. High-tech, but with a very early stage of consciousness. So what he found was the 12 strands of DNA. Never had he seen before any civilization that held this level of potential to develop. So even though their level of consciousness was very young, he saw the potential through natural evolution of what they could become. And there was absolutely magnificent beings given the chance. So rather than modifying the DNA, as he was ordered to do, he decided that he would upgrade it. So he upgraded humans at that point to include his own DNA. He became the father of the human race. The vibrational etheric frequency of the DNA was also upgraded at the same time. And this was done so, as I said before, to allow a higher consciousness to incarnate into what he could see and what he knew now was an even further advanced human body. So this upgrade happened over a period of time. There was a few trials that had to happen before they got it right. Several hybridization experiments occurred. Finally, the experiment was concluded, and the body was able to accept a being of higher consciousness, one that had already been through an evolutionary process, an evolved, fully activated human, not one from the Earth's planetary matrix. So a being that had already had that higher level of consciousness of which those on Earth at that period of time did not. They hadn't evolved to the point as other off-planet beings had. They named him Adapa or Adam. So this took place on their ship, the Nibiru. His lab was named Eden. Eden in their language means biodome. So what we've got here is a biodome on the Nibiru ship called Eden, with a manipulation of DNA, the upgrade of the etheric body occurred to create a man called Adam. So once Adam was perfected, Eve was then created using Adam's DNA. Again, several different attempts were conducted. Eve then was the perfection of the experiment. They had a match made in Eden. So let's have a look at what the Bible says about this. Before we do, though, it's really important. Words are everything in this. And what we need to have a look at is the actual meanings of the translations of words from Hebrew into English. So the term God has been translated from the Hebrew language as Elohim. Elohim is a plural form, singular of that being El. So if El originally meant God, then it stands to reason that Elohim means gods. So the singular word El is a very ancient word with a long etymological history. It's got a common origin in many other ancient languages, and all with the same and significant meaning. So let's have a look at that. So in the Sumerian language, El is brightness or shining. Elu in the Akkadian, the bright one, the shining one, a shining being, shining, an angel, a shining being. So you can see the progression here throughout the different ancient languages. El is depicted as the shining one. There's many more other languages which all say the same thing. Too many, in fact, to list. So if God is translated from the Hebrew word El, and El has the etymology of shining, we have to ask the question of exactly who the Bible is referring to in the Old Testament when they reference God. So let's have a look at Genesis 1:1, the very first notation in the Bible here. They say, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So we established already God in Hebrew equals El, and El equals shining ones. So the word Hashayim, or heaven, the actual translation for that indicates that it is the skies. It also could mean heights. Hararis, or earth, translated to English as earth, is also lands, and given the construct of the sentence in Hebrew, most likely leans towards lowlands. Creation, Aleph Riesh, the root word of the Hebrew to see, with another better added in there, it becomes looked at with pleasure. So when you reconstruct the sentence, it actually comes out and takes out a whole new meaning. It translates literally into, in the beginning, the shining ones looked down with pleasure on the highlands and the lowlands. This is not to say either that Eden wasn't a name on earth. However, when we look at these actual translations from ancient Hebrew, this is ancient Hebrew, and ancient Sumerian into English, it starts to paint a very different picture. It's kind of starting to make some sense now. Let's go to Genesis 1:26 on the creation of man. So then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. So who's us and who is our? When you're reading the Bible, who is us and who is our all of a sudden? So again, Bible translated from ancient Hebrew. The word for God is El. It means the shining ones. When you actually translate that passage, we get the Shining One said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness." Now, some might say, put the argument forward, that they're referring to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And that's a fair enough argument, except it begs a question because Christ was not born yet. We are thousands of years before Christ was on earth. So you cannot bring the Son or Christ into the equation when referring to the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. There's something else to ponder in this as well. You have whole civilizations that are created. Is it actually possible to create thousands upon thousands of people from one man and one woman? So these are questions that, as you go through the Bible, as you translate the literal translations from ancient Hebrew, ancient Sumerian, we can see how some of these passages, in fact, a lot of the Old Testament has been manipulated to make us think one way, rather than teaching us what the actual truth is. So the Enuma Elish is the very first written oral translation or inscription on creation. It was originally handed down orally from Sumer, 3800 BC, actually scribed around 1900 BC in Babylon. So the sixth tablet of the Enuma Elish states, "I will solidify blood into matter. I will create a creature named man. He will do the work of the gods, so that the gods may be free. The gods will be divided into two groups, though they will be equally worshipped." Now, that passage there is very, very important. Many religions and many, not just religions, but many different processes throughout our society when it comes to the spiritual side of things intonates that we must worship God. We have to ask the question of who are we worshipping? See, the thing is, every single one of us and every single thing that is created holds a fractal of source. We are God and God is us. Everything is God and God is everything. So when we get taught to worship perhaps an external ideology, we're taking our power away. We are literally giving our power over to someone else, when God, in fact, exists within each one of us. So the Atrahasis on the creation of man tells the same story. So it was written in the 17th century. It's the Akkadian Babylonian account of the Great Flood. So Atrahasis is actually Noah. In the story of creation from the Atrahasis, we see the similar pattern. The lower gods have to work very hard and start to complain. There is the revolt of the lower gods. Negotiations happen with the great gods. Proposal is to create humans to relieve the lower gods from their labor. The creation of man occurs. So when you actually start delving into these ancient tablets, they tell the same story. They came here to mine. There was revolts in the mining. They wanted to manipulate the existing population of Earth so that they could create slavery to do the gods' bidding, the gods being the Anunnaki being the controllers of man. So as we journey through this, with Enki's deviation from the order that he was given, Enlil, the brother, the god of war, the god of storm, was enraged, absolutely furious that the human DNA had been upgraded to incorporate the Anunnaki DNA rather than manipulated to downgrade it. So he went off, gathered his own scientists, his own geneticists, and decided to start meddling. So he took a course of action that would affect the evolution of our species to this day. So whilst we had 12 strands of DNA at that time, he deactivated 10 of them. 10 of them with the sole purpose of preventing spiritual development. This is the origins of our slavery. Right at this point in time, the manipulation of the DNA and then the ensuing manipulation of the lives that we lead, of the programming that we have undertaken, of all of the things that have unfolded since this very early beginning to our present day. Not only did he do that, it wasn't enough. Over a period of time, and they'll also try to wipe out entire groups of DNA enhanced humans by unleashing natural disasters. He failed. So what's really important to note here is that not all humans were upgraded with the Anunnaki DNA, nor were all humans downgraded by Enlil's geneticists. Now, the other thing that's really important to note here as well is that even though those strands of DNA have been deactivated, we still have them. We still carry them. And we have the capability of reactivating. One of those ways is through sound frequency. Because why? How? Our DNA is also made up of frequencies. It's all about knowledge, integration, getting to know and understand who you are, seeing beyond the programming, living in love, using your wisdom, having compassion, and going on that journey of enlightenment. All of these things are steps in an evolutionary process to reactivate that DNA that has been deactivated. So at this point in time, or around all of this period, we see the bloodlines start to form. Now, in particular, the bloodlines of Enki or Ea, so the upgraded DNA bloodlines. Enki's bloodlines are the descendants of the Adamu, Adam. They're the patriarchs, the Yeshua. There is a particular French royal bloodline who carries Enki's genetics with great psychic powers. His bloodline is mostly kept secret, as has the bloodline of Enlil for most of our time. Now, Enlil's bloodline was created later on in history, during the ancient Egypt reign. He inbred with a royal line of Seekar reptilian invaders, and which created now these 13 bloodline families. So you can see here, House of Borgia, House of Breakspear. Well, these ones here in that list are the 13 bloodline families, the ones that we don't hear about, the ones that are so secret that it's very difficult to find information on them, the ones that always put out the front, like the ones we're used to, like people like the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, etc., etc. They always put a face out so that they too are kept secret. So the first settlement was around 286,000 BC and saw the first city in the Tigris and the Euphrates named Eridu. This city was destroyed during a great war, and it was rebuilt after the Great Flood. The kingship of the Anunnaki and the civilization at that time then moves to Bad Tabira in Iraq, which is still there today. So during this period, kings ruled from between 28,800 years and 43,200 years. So again, we have to ask ourselves the question, is it possible for a human as we know it, and even in those times at the evolutionary stage that we were at, to live for 43,200 years? It's unheard of. It's almost unthinkable, actually. Now, there's a reason why Iraq in the Middle East has been a hotspot. This particular area, the Middle East area, not just in Iraq, but in other locations around that Middle East, Israel, Mount Zion and the surrounding mounts, the Israel area, etc., was always Enlil's headquarters. There's a lot of things that were created underground in that region, which also has been hidden. In 1999, a discovery was made by the Kabbalah in Transylvania. What they found under a mountain was the same space or the same looking area, region, same sort of hole, if you like, as they had previously found in Iraq. So upper echelons of the Freemasonry visited the Romania, sorry, not Transylvania, Romania, the Romanian government. They have what is called Department X that works for the government, that deals with all paranormal, all things extraterrestrial, all things which are outside of the normal realms of our collective thinking, if you like. Now, there was nothing that the Iranian government could do at this point in time without causing great disturbances for Romania itself, but to agree to investigate. So in this particular mountain, what they found was a cavern which was protected by a frequency wall that not even the most advanced high-tech tunnel borer could penetrate. You had to have the right DNA, the right frequency, and the right level of consciousness to be able to access this, of which one of their main, well, the main leader, or one of the, sorry, the main people from Department X was able to do. There's many things about this which we will cover in a later session, but what's really important to note here is that there were several tunnels running from this space in this mountain, and one of those was to Iraq. What they found when they journeyed along this tunnel was hidden in an underground chamber are halls of records. Now, they tell the account that these halls of records contained square metallic discs, thousands upon thousands of them. When those metallic discs were open, they projected holographic pictures which captured a particular part in both Earth's history and also the galactic history. Those were removed by the Freemasons and held in secret away from any of the human population. So we've gone through several kingships which have lasted thousands of years. And we get to around 100,000 BC. This is when we saw an invasion by the Seeker Empire. Now, the Seeker Empire are a reptilian species from the constellation Draco. Their main systems are Alpha, Epsilon, and Sigma. They're shapeshifters. They're also known as the Dracos or the Dracs. I wonder where Dracula came from. The reason why we often hear the term draconian system or, my God, that's draconian measures. It didn't just come out of thin air. So their culture is based on war. They're considered very technologically advanced, particularly in warfare. Now, this particular species had already infiltrated and colonized over 500 planets in our solar system or its universe, had a presence on thousands more. They prefer to work in the shadows and infiltrate governments and official positions. Now, as we start to unpack the Seeker Empire a little bit, you're going to now start to really see the correlation of the way that they operate to what we have been experiencing on Earth for literally thousands of years. So they use enslaved inferior races for first contact when they're going to a new planet. Under the guise of our race is dying, we need genetic material to survive. Those start to do negotiations And it's all done to disguise an invasion by the Seeker Empire. Leaders will be promised wealth, weapons, technology in exchange for genetics. And this very thing is the thing that occurred in the 1950s when the Nebu Greys came and did secret deals with the MJ-12 at that point in time. As soon as the treaties are signed and were signed during that period, the Draconians show up as the new masters. So they work at a hidden agenda to generate wars, grief, starvation, destruction, despair, and they feed off the negative energies. They feed off the etheric substances, the flesh and the blood of humans, and it's particularly beneficial when infused with fear and pain. Adrenochrome from children is more valuable to them than anything in the universe. Now, for those of you that have done a deep dive into the child trafficking scenario, you know what we're talking about when we're talking about these things. The many, many abductions and many, many children going missing, the rituals that have been coming out more and more and more with our supposed leaders on this earth, those that are all affiliated with the Kabbalah. Another really important thing to take note of here is this. They feed off the etheric substances. They feed off the negative energy. They feed off the energy of fear. So the generation of fear with every single thing that comes at us, one thing after another, after another, after another right now, is the system that they use to feed. So you can see as we start to go through this, you can really see why they do it, who they do it, how they do it, and what they do it for. When you can start to have a look at this from that perspective, then you can see that this is all just a game to them. It's all a game to generate fear in you. And this is where we, each of us, need to come into our own power, to drop the fear, to not get involved in the narratives that get put out there time and time and time again. Because every time we buy into it, every time we give it energy, we create it. We not only feed these civilizations by our fear, but we actually create it by the energy that we put into these programs that they continuously roll out to us. So the fear, the energy, the physical human blood and flesh helps their body to regenerate, and it also benefits in their shape-shifting abilities. This is the same for monatomic gold for them. So both of those substances, it's said that a seeker can shape-shift generally for a number of hours. When they take adrenochrome or when they take monatomic gold, then the amount of time that they are able to hold a shapeshift for elevates to 2 to 3 days. In other cases, they will use frequency belts, which then puts up an illusion so that they appear as either human or whatever else. They shapeshift also by blending into their environment. They're known to abduct large amounts of females for a hybridization program. Their offspring will often become powerful members infiltrated into leading roles in our societies, presidents, vice presidents, people who are in charge of, for example, our 3-letter agencies, those that get involved with the satanic rituals, those upper echelons of the secret societies, hybridization programs. The hybridization can also occur, if we all heard about the Black Eyed Club, via an implant of a reptilian implant via the eye, where it generates the black eye. Many of you will have seen those pictures. So these guys work in a caste system, with their elite being much more powerful. So the elite in their system has now carried across to the elite in our system. They've actually been permanently on this planet for about 15,000 years and have made their presence known at various times throughout our history. Now, the reason why I'm spending a bit of time on these guys is because They do play an important role when we start to journey through this time. Their invasion, their first invasion here, saw the migration of civilizations to inner Earth, civilizations such as Shambhala, Agartha, and many more. Subsequent wars on inner Earth civilizations saw those underground cities move into a higher density, into fourth density, fifth density, so that we can't actually see them. So it was a forced upgrade, if you like, into a higher frequency so that they were out of harm's way from these wars that were carried on. So after all that process unfolded, it was a tumultuous period. Over the next 50,000 odd years, there were many wars both on Earth and throughout our solar system. Eventually, the Seeker were very heavily involved in these wars on Earth, but eventually they retreated, but they never ever fully left. So as we move along, other civilizations escaped to Earth after their planet Moldek was destroyed by a nuclear explosion, destroyed by takeover of the civilizations of the Nebu Greys. This explosion also damaged the surface of Mars, causing it to lose its atmosphere. So these refugees arrived on Earth in the location of what we now know was Lemuria in the Pacific Ocean. So during this period of time, Ea, Enki had settled amongst tribal societies that had begun to form in the valley of the Nile. So we've got a few different locations happening around Earth. Now the Turin Papyrus talks of the divine and semi-divine rulers in Egypt's pre-dynastic period as the kingdom of Ptah, Enki being the Ptah and his son Marduk being Ra. They would rule this area of Egypt, then known as Kemet. Eventually, after all of these wars and many different wars between many different factions, we came to a time of peace. Around 35,000 BC, it saw the rise of the Hyperborean civilization in the North Atlantic Ocean area and Northern Europe. That civilization started approximately 70,000 BC. It was the natural evolution of human cultures. When the wars finished and times of peace came upon Earth, there was a huge leap in spiritual development for the natural evolution of the human cultures that were here. 32,400 BC saw the foundation of Atlantis through the work of Ea. Now, many different advanced civilizations had settled in Atlantis, developing very highly advanced technology. It was a period of multicultural civilizations of indigenous and off-world culture colonies. Lemuria and Atlantis coexisted peacefully. Now, Lemuria, at some point in their progression, began to be destroyed by natural disasters. The Atlanteans opened their doors, and many from Lemuria moved across to come under the umbrella of the Atlantean civilization until our old friends, the Seekars, return. So around 15,000 BC, it saw the return of the Seekar Empire. Great conflicts, great wars once again followed. The Alteans, who were the primary inhabitants of Atlantis, the upper spiritual class, moved to a different dimension. The scientific division relocated arcs and created halls of records in different locations around the Earth. They could see what was happening. The Seekar had infiltrated. The lower class scientists and political elites were infiltrated by the Seekar, and things went downhill. So technologies became controlled and used as controlling tools, very much like what we see today. Crossbreeding occurred. Hybridization occurred between animals and humans. Very much what we have seen unfolding today. Systems were implemented. Programs were implemented to control the wider population. Very much what we are seeing today. So Atlantis had already been sinking over a period of time due to the movement of the Earth's tectonic plates and the melting of ice in the in the North Pole and Southern Pole regions. But the culmination of the final destruction was due to inner conflicts that had carried out between Enki Enlil, and many, many other civilizations on Earth. During this period, as this was all going on, those scientists and the beings that had the higher consciousness ensured that there were protective places that were created around Earth, not just for the arks, not just for the halls of records, but also for different members of that society. So Atlantis was sunk from an artificial meteor. The flooding from this, boosted by earthquakes from the crash, created a devastating tsunami affecting the whole Earth. This saw the sinking of humanity into a period of darkness, which continues to this day. They nearly wiped Earth out at this point. And if it wasn't for these highly advanced civilizations being able to see what was happening, being able to see the incoming catastrophic devastation that was going to occur, then we'd be in a whole different space to what we are now. So what we can see here is that this control, this program, these things that have been implemented thousands upon thousands of years ago have carried out and morphed into what we know as today's society. But it's not all doom and gloom, because remember, we have the ability to be able to activate ourselves. We have the ability to actually go on a journey of spiritual evolution. The things that these lower or these civilizations, these malevolent civilizations fear the most is the activation of humans, is the letting go of fear, is the coming into our own power. So you, each individual one of you, are the guardians of knowledge. You are the ones who are emerging like a flower into full bloom, peeling back all of the layers of old thought programs, unveiling truths that have been hidden, changing deliberate conditioned behavior. You are the ones that are coming to the realization that you are so much more than you have ever been told or thought you were. You are the ones that are realizing that you are worthy, that you are not a submissive being brought into slavery, that you are not, cannot, and will not remain there, that you are so much worth more than what you have ever been told. You are the pillars of strength that need to stand strong through these turbulent waters that are happening right now. You need to guide those who may not be able to comprehend what is happening on this planet. You are here on this planet right now for a reason. You're here to bring this planet and all that is on it into a place that we have not seen the likes of, a paradise that we cannot even begin to imagine. You are the light in the darkness. You are special. You are loved more than you know, and you are so much more than you know. So that comes to the end of tonight's history session. It's really important to have done this to allow the foundations, or to lay the foundations of where we're going next. There's a lot of stuff in there. It doesn't feel like an hour has gone by, to be honest. But there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of things in there and moments in there that have been unpacked, which are going to take a lot of time to process for some people. These things that we look at are the foundations of the slavery, of the foundations of the processes and the programs, are the foundations to keep us in a lower level of consciousness, a level of consciousness that we were never ever meant to remain in. So remember who you are and shine your light bright, because that's what changes this. That's what gets us out of where we are, knowing who we are, coming together collectively as these beautiful, magnificent beings, raises us to a vibration where these people cannot infiltrate.
Thank you, Kim. I was told many years ago that the saying, all I need is within me now, resonates so well when I hear what you're saying tonight.
It's so true. We really, most of us up until recently, and I know that a lot of you on here have been going through a journey yourselves. You've been having a look at these deep dives into different areas of civilizations. But it's really important to recognize that, yes, there is so much that has been done to keep us at that lower vibration, but that's so not who we are.
No.
It's so not who we are meant to be. Our capabilities are exponential, that even those of us that have been on this journey have no idea of what that looks like. But I can tell you what, I can't wait to get there.
Yeah, they keep us distracted and they keep us focusing and materialing and chasing this and chasing that. It's only when you can really take peace and stop and go within, and that's the meditation stuff and all that type of thing in there. And I was speaking to someone today, a friend of mine, he said that a while ago, because he's a big, 6'7" guy, surfer, and he was up in Indonesia and he spent a week in the jungle up there in magnificent nature. And he said when he spent time with himself, he said he couldn't believe the uplifting power. He wasn't distracted by things, and the focus is just beautiful. Thank you, Kim. Anyone has any questions or any comments or any thoughts, could they please put up their hand?
Just before there is any questions, we'll carry on in this journey, but one of the really important sessions that is very, very reflective in the situation that we find ourselves in today is the origins of Zion. So the history and the origins of Zion, and also the protocols of Zion incorporated into all of that. It's quite fascinating, actually, when you go back in history to see where those origins actually came in and how these players that we've been talking about tonight play a very integral role in the creation of Zionism. When the protocols of Zion came in, what they look like and what they actually say. Because it's the plan. It's the plan that we're in now, broken down, laid out for all to see. So that particular session there is going to be quite an important one to help people really grasp the idea of where that started, how these players were involved, and then the protocols that rolled out into present time.
I just want to say it was a fantastic session, Kim. I really loved it. I found out about the Anunnaki years ago, about 10, 12 years ago, and I read the book of, what's his name, Snitchin or something like that.
Zachariah Sitchin.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I read that book and holy moly. Yes, that's when I first found out about that. Yeah, I know all religion is just all wrong. It's just God, and everything else doesn't really matter, how everything happened. It just doesn't really matter. It's a shock at first when you believe the Bible story with Adam and Eve. Yeah.
It's a big shock.
I mean, we asked the questions as kids in school. So Adam and Eve, so where did the children come from? If it's just mother and father, where do the children, it's just impossible. Plain, simple stories in the Bible. It's all written in code. So normal people don't understand the meaning. But the people with a bit of knowledge, they can uncipher it.
Yeah. And that's deliberate too, as we know, as we see.
Yeah.
All for an agenda.
Distraction.
It was great. Thank you, Kim. I'm looking forward to the other one, next one too.
Thanks, Barbara. Hey, Rob, you got a question?
Yeah, it's not so much a question as it is an observation. As you say, Aidan, sort of everybody's sitting there a bit dumbfounded, but so much of it just rings true to what I've been going through for the last 10 or 15, maybe even 20 years. There's little bits of everything you say that sort of makes everything that I've been going through make sense, I suppose, for want of a better thing. Right through to what's even happening to me now and what's going on around us, around the world, as you say. Christianity or the religions themselves, the control structures within religion is what's holding the whole world back. And as you say, God is within us. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's not something up there. It's within us all, and that's, I love the way you put that, and I just thank you so much that it just sort of, I don't know, it just makes everything that I've been going through make more sense. Thank you so much, Kim.
My pleasure, Rob. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Marie, do you have something you wish to?
Yes. Thank you very much. I just want to say, first of all, Kim, look, I am just so enjoying this, and I do Bible study, so I'm from the traditional belief and all that, but it's not really shocking me. It's as Rob said, it's sort of it's like bits and pieces of the jigsaw puzzle of life that we're getting, and you couldn't shock me. You couldn't shock me with anything. So I have absolutely loved it, and I was just wondering if I could get a copy of your because I'd like to know this. Is it, I like to, like, it, right, and you're telling us, and it's history. I'd like to know all this too. So I don't know, is there a book, or is there a course, or?
Oh, there's many books, Marie. This is much learning. And I'm not sure if you were on the last session. I was my mum and dad, who are on here tonight. Right from a very young age, they actually did seminars teaching the Huna Code, which was the levels of consciousness. So I had a very wonderful upbringing from a different perspective than most do.
Yeah.
And probably in the last 15 years now, there's not really a night that I don't go to bed where I'm reading something which is along these lines, which is, and everything that I do read is, I always look at that in comparison with other texts that I've read. I go through a journey of seeing, looking at what's real, what's not real, trying to verify that information. But most importantly, I also go within.
Yeah.
But there are many texts out there. What I might do is put a list together for the next session, if you like, of reading material.
Yeah.
And that will be really helpful, just to start having a look at some of these alternate texts that you can go on your own journey with.
All right, beautiful. And when you're talking about Egypt and the shape of their heads and all that, like, it stands out a mile that they're not from here. They're from off planet. So thank you very much. You've just given lots of pieces of the jigsaw puzzle to
You're more than welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, Marie.
Yeah,
thank you. I'm so happy.
Thank you, darling. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I just saw a comment in the chat, Kim, which I think sums up the fact that you've broken it down and made it so simple for all of us to fully understand today is just unbelievable. So I know I've got to say thank you. You keep getting better. This is the best one of the lot so far.
Thanks, Aidan.
Is anybody else wish to make a comment, or?
Yeah, I'd just like to say you've joined the bits together. It's almost like you've come along and put little wee links between all the little bits, and it all starts to make sense.
Oh, that's great, Rob. I'm so glad. Thank you.
Oh, here we go. Team, please.
Just been having a private conversation with someone on here who's just questioning, Kim, where you get your information from.
Right, many different sources. I'm sorry, I thought I had that up there, but I get my information from many different sources. So I go into the translations from like the Enuma Elish translations, the Epic of Atrahasis translations. There's a book called The Shining Ones, which is written by Christian and Barbara Joy O'Brien. They are multilinguists in ancient languages, so ancient Hebrew, ancient Sumerians, Akkadian languages. They utilize texts which are not so much mainstream texts that have been converted. They are able to read the tablets, the ancient tablets. They give a very, very good breakdown of references in the Bible and what that actually looks like from ancient Hebrew and Sumerian into present day, into English, if you like. I get my material from the books of Radha Simha and Peter Moon, being the Transylvania series that's on Department X of the Romanian Special Secret Service. Alana Danan's material, A Gift from the Stars and the Cedars. There is other Bible scholars. I just can't think of his name off the top of my head. Sorry. He's an Italian guy. Bible scholars, very well versed in the Bible study, as well as linguists in several different ancient languages that translate. Peter Wallace's Return from Eden. I'll just get that book name for you. So many different sources that I get my information from, all cross-referenced, and all saying the same thing. So that last one, Peter Wallace, his book is, I meant to put this up, I'm so sorry. Paul Wallace, Escaping from Eden. So a lot of research goes into this material. It's not something where I just look at one resource and go, yep, that's it, that must be right. It's definitely not like that at all. There is references and cross-references from various writers and scholars.
Somebody's formed a particular website for recording of all this, and something where you might have the resources for. Is that right? Will you list the resources on that as well?
That's a great idea. We'll do that.
Put that in the chat, and then you can, if you want to tap into resources into that in that website, that might be helpful.
Yeah, great idea. Thanks, Aidan.
Rose, would you like to ask your question or make a comment?
Okay, just for Kim's benefit, I put the info in the chat. Look up a person by the name of David Arkenstone Barnett. He has got a 3-session on Atlantis Rising. He was with the New Zealand military, and he also had a very high security clearance through New Zealand. He's got information based on where Atlantis may have been, etc., and may complement some of the work you're doing, Kim.
Oh, yeah. That's great, Rose. Thank you.
Yes, it definitely does. I've heard a lot of his work, and it is absolutely complementary to everything you've actually put up there. It's quite amazing how the correlation between David's work and your work tends to match, and you've come from different directions.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. I'm going to see if I can copy that. I don't know if I can.
And Kim, can I ask you a question? Do you know
Yes.
Asha Nadine? Have you listened to any of her stuff?
No.
No? Okay.
No, sorry. She's a good one. She's obviously a good one to look up.
Oh, yeah, she's been around for about 35 years doing all this. Yeah, Asha Nadine. I can just try to think how you spell it now, but yeah, she goes into all the history of the Earth, stargates, how to get through the different levels, and yeah, she's quite amazing. She disappeared for quite a few years, but she's been back again. I've seen her on a few things. I'm just not sure how you spell her name, actually. So it's Asha Nadine.
Asha Nadine.
Yeah.
I might be able to find it anyway.
I know, there's so much material. It's very...
Yes, there is. Yeah.
That was a great presentation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Well, as usual, you've blown us away many sleepless nights from now on. But no, I loved the way you finished it, Kim. It was you reminded us all that we need to remind ourselves of who we really are and stop being distracted and focusing, because the whole system is getting us to focus on everything external and be chasing all of that and not looking at everything internal. And the more we take time, I think everybody on this show, or this right now, is very interested in learning this stuff and understanding this stuff. When you remind us to look within, the power is right there.
It is. It always was, and it always has been.
It always will be, yeah. The old saying is, all I need is within me now, is all the answers are there. Yeah.
That's right.
Now, there is an interesting phrase that is in the Bible. I'm not a Bible person. Rob will probably be freaking out when I use that word. But, you know, the phrase, I am the way, the truth, and the light. I think it's light or life.
Wow.
We go back, and if you start using I as a personal reference to yourself, instead of putting it out as a third party, it sums it up very well.
There you go.
It absolutely does, Rose. That's a great point.
That's it.
And I think, Jody, did you want to talk? There's just a message that's come in here.
I can't find the hand up thing. Mauro Bellino, I think, is the Italian linguist you might be thinking
That's
of.
one. Yeah.
And Paul Wallace.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It was great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks.
So if there's anybody in the room wants to contact you, Kim, is there an email or something for them to, or are you open for that?
Yes, I am. I will pop in here. I'm just thinking of which one.
Yeah, no, which one's the best way? Yeah. While you're thinking of that, we have Kelly and Eddie. 11111. Helly, Eddie,
Yeah. Hi there, it's Helly here.
Hi, Helly.
Firstly, thank you so much, Kim. It's been brilliant. With the dark powers that have come in throughout the history of Earth's progression to elevating our consciousness, these energies, from what we've understood, are energies who are not yet aware of their divine nature and therefore believe they need something outside themselves to be whole and also complete. So have I understood that these dark powers want to feed on the life of Earth that radiated vitality and life force?
Yes.
And as a reaction to the intrusion of these dark powers, the higher energies wanted to protect life on Earth. So as a result of that, we had to become denser.
Okay, so there's a couple of things in there. So yes, there is light and dark and everything, and we need balance. The universe must have balance. That's the first thing. If you don't have opposing forces, then there is no room for growth. So when you have creation at its very essence, in the very, very beginning, the universe breathes out and the universe breathes in. We're currently on an outward breath. And it comes back into that single point. The moment that the universe takes, not the multi-universe, all that is, takes that first breath out, you have duality at that point. Because what duality means is movement. And without movement, there is stagnation. With stagnation, there is death. So no movement means no creation. So duality must exist everywhere. The problem with it is that that duality has been out of balance within our planet, within our solar system, within our universe for, as we have seen, a very, very, very long time. The dark forces, yes, they feed on our energy. They feed on the energy of fear. They feed on the lower vibrational energies that we emit, and that we focus our thoughts into. So that feeds them on an energetic level. Because of the magnificent beings that we were always supposed to develop into, then these 24 seeder civilizations along with the benevolent civilizations, do not want to see the destruction of us nor our Earth. Now, Earth actually is a pivotal point in our universe. What's happened is when we incarnated, when we actually came into the body and the subconscious was created. So remember that the subconscious is the part of us that keeps the automatic things happening in our body. It makes our heart beat, it makes our blood run, it's all of those things. The subconscious is also the part of us that is in control of our emotions. So if we aren't able to work with that inner child, then we tend to be kept in that lower emotional state where we are always about reaction instead of thoughts and then process. Now, because of all the shiny things and the materialistic things that have developed on Earth, what they actually say, before I go into that, we are the only planet in our universe that has individual free will. All other civilizations have a collective free will. We have individual. Now, because the subconscious is created, and it's almost like likening it to a 2 or 3-year-old child, 4-year-old child, 5-year-old child, as you go on that evolutionary journey, then of course, shiny things are going to distract you. The enjoyments and pleasures that you have on this planet that is unlike anywhere else. So souls throughout our universe, we're always actually supposed to come here for an incarnation to experience that free individual free will process. But of course, we get stuck because we like the pleasures, we like the shiny things, we like the ability to have our own individual free will, so we don't want to leave. So that, in conjunction with many other things, process of reincarnation, which is being manipulated, and we will go through that at some point, it's created a bottleneck in our universe. That bottleneck is actually preventing the spiritual progression of other planetary civilizations within our universe. It's one of the reasons that Earth is such a pivotal place in this whole galactic war, because this has been going on outside of Earth for eons upon eons of time, our time that we see. Civilizations have been taken over, yes, by the very same ones that have arrived on Earth and implemented what they have here, but it's not the only reason. There are these other factors that come into it that, because of who we are, how we're made up, it's nice to be in a body here, and why would you want to leave? So the light and the dark, although it is out of balance, has been out of balance, we are now coming into a period of enlightenment where the light of this planet, of the people on it, is actually is and has turned the tide to a period, as I said before, that we really cannot begin to imagine. Well, we can imagine, but I don't even think our imaginations can take us to the place that we are actually going to go to. Hallie, I don't know if I answered your question then. Sorry.
No, that was brilliant, Kim. Yeah. So basically, we've chosen as angels to come here, not to actually, well, we've come to elevate Earth, but also with the understanding that by elevating the vibration of Earth, we're going to change the galaxy. And that realization is coming to pass now. Whereas before it was just remembering that we're powerful souls, but more than just being a powerful soul, our contribution was to release our shining, to go in the depths of darkness, to bring up the darkness to light. And as a result of bringing the darkness to light, the elevation of Earth could increase the elevation of the collective galaxy.
100%.
I know Corbus has his hand up and I can see that quickly. The thought of, have you heard of the Fibonacci cycle and the crystalline cycle. Have you heard of that, Kim?
I have, yes.
Is that related to this?
Yes. So we this year changed from the Fibonacci into the crystalline.
Crystalline, which is lifting our vibration, yeah?
Yes.
And this is the 3D to 4D, 5D consciousness level. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, but you can't just shift. A human in a 3D body cannot just shift into or elevate straight away just like that into a fifth density thing. You'll die. You will die because your body is not vibrating at that frequency that it needs to be able to exist in that different density. But yes, and you're right. So, and that's why, and a lot of this thing that's been unfolding over the last 3 years feels like it's been going on forever and a day, particularly if you've been doing this and investigating these things for a lot longer. But these 3 years feel like a million, right?
Right.
But a lot of what has been unfolding, and with the elevation of consciousness on Earth, there has also been the frequency raising of the actual DNA within our bodies. And that has to occur to be able to bring us to that level where we can live in a fifth density world.
And of course, not everyone's going to be doing that. I hear that it's only us, mainly in this room, the type of people that are focusing and looking for this, that are raising and their vibration to their knowledge and their understanding. And unfortunately, we're going to be leaving people behind.
There will always be those that don't want to go.
And
always.
Free will. That's it. Free will. Choose what you want. Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
Corvus, please.
Hey.
We would love to hear from you. Yay.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Kim. Thank you so much. This was so beautiful.
Thank you.
I've got a bit of internet problems with connectivity and that, so you can't really see much. But what I just want to also mention to everyone, what you've just put together for us paints a beautiful picture of exactly how long they have tried to change us, to try and make us like them, and they failed. That's the beauty of it. They've been trying and trying and trying, and they failed. So to me, that's the biggest message. With us knowing who we are, finding out who we are, we can't be subdued. We can't be trodden down. We are too special, too beautiful. And if you don't want to believe it, look at the efforts they've put in to try and obliterate us, our consciousness, and to change us and to modify us so that we become nothing. That gives us an idea of how powerful we really are. They've taken so much trouble, so much money, so much work. They have worked thousands of years to try and get to this point where they can make us more like them and change our consciousness. And they failed. To me, that's the most beautiful thing. Thank you.
That is just an amazing perspective, Corvus. Thank you. And so true. It really, really does put things into perspective. And yeah, and to follow on from that, look at how long this programming has been going on. And look at how long it's taken us to wake up. Really, I mean, en masse. 3 Years, as opposed to hundreds of thousands of years. If we weren't what they said we are, if we didn't know who we are, if we didn't have that spark of creation within us, that would never have happened.
But isn't that just that we needed the trigger and we were triggered 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Yes. The comparison in time.
We needed the push. We needed to be pushed over the edge. It's like the sheep. I can't remember the animal that goes to the edge and gets
lemurs or something like that.
Yeah. And we're going, no, we're not lemurs. We're getting out of here. But look at the connections, Rob. Look, all of us today are on this call. We would have never collectively joined together in this environment unless we're under that constant pressure. We're going, nah, this is not right. We've got to do something. We've got to think something different. We've got to have a different perspective of what's going on because something is not right.
But then it takes someone like Kim to put together what she's done to help us join the dots. I had a lot of the bits, but it was about linking them all together, and that's what Kim's done. And I thank you so much for that, Kim.
Yeah, no, she's done it all. All right, guys. Well, unless there's anything else for anyone to chat, and think about what email for the next session, Kim, you'd like us, for anyone to have contact or how you'd like to do it. But I know this group is very keen to be kept up to date in the future, move forward. How long before we can have our next session? No pressure.
I don't know. Thanks, Corbett. Thank you, everybody. Nice to see you all.
Thank you, beautiful people.